Hi everyone, it's 10 o'clock. So if you're coming back from your break now, feel free to fill out the poll. We have a few questions that just help us with planning our future meetings or events and things like that. So we have a couple questions about if you've ever talked to one of your legislators, how you do that, or if you're interested in attending one of the events that was just shared about from our policy team.
Megan, I am not seeing the poll, but I don't know if it's because you have me as a co-host or I have a screen sharing happening, but just FYI, I'm not sure. Is anybody else seeing it?
I had the poll and I took it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for sharing.
If you're not able to see it, you might have to go down to like your bar at the bottom of Zoom and click polls or quizzes. It probably looks a little different on the participant side, but if not, feel free to drop in the chat or direct message me if you're interested um, in sharing some of the feedback and can't find the poll.
Thank you, Megan. All right, welcome back, everybody. Yes, we're going to head into our updates section, and we're going to start with Chris and the Iowa Food System Coalition.
All
Oh,
right. Good morning, everyone. We can go to the next slide, please.
oh, yes, this is you, right? Okay.
All right. Well, everybody, you're in your inboxes today. You should have received the partnership recommitment form. Um, the goal here is to be sending this out every November with hopes that everybody has filled it out by the start of January. You're going to notice some new questions in there. A lot of this was really aimed at helping us tell and amplify the story of the work that you're doing. And so please, I don't think it'll take too long to fill this stuff out, but please try to do that sooner than later because that's very helpful to us. And of course, new partners will be able to fill out this form anytime throughout the year. Next update, the racial equity mini grants, we had 23 different organizations and individuals nominated, all of whom are doing really excellent work to advocate to advance the food system across the state. And so at next week's steering committee meeting, we're going to plan out kind of the announcement of those awardees and how we want to celebrate that and uplift their work. I did just post a link in the chat. We do have an Instagram page now. It's brand new, so go ahead and follow us on there. We're going to be building up a lot on social media this coming year to really spread our work, and that's going to include some paid ads and such coming up on Facebook and Instagram. I'll go to the next slide, please. All right, sorry that this one we had a little more text, so the text got a little smaller on it. So sorry if it's a little hard to read. But continue to do lots of presentations on the plan, setting the table for all Iowans. Some of those recent groups include the Healthy Iowans Steering Committee, the Healthy Iowans Working Group, the staff at DMARC, the Iowa Farmers Union Board of Directors, and the Iowa Farmers Union Lunch and Learn. And so if you've got a board or an organization that you would like to have a presentation on, for about a half an hour presentation on setting the table for all Iowans, all you got to do is reach out to me. We can do in-person presentations or we can do online presentations. Just always looking for opportunities to talk about setting the table for all Iowans. Some of the upcoming opportunities we've got, we were selected to present a lightning session at the Practical Farmers of Iowa conference. So very excited for that. That's going to focus on our legislative priorities. So it'll be perfect. We'll get to talk to a lot of farmers about the priorities we're going into the 2025 session right there in January. So very excited for that. As well as upcoming presentation to the Iowa Hunger Coalition. That's going to be more about the plan itself. There is work underway to develop a national community of practice. Both Jan Libby and I both recently participated in one of the kind of inaugural calls and meetings around that. And this is, the goal of this, and this is being housed out of by our friends at Michigan State University. Lindsay Scalera, Rich Perag is involved. All great people that we all know, many of us know and love. And this is to implement or develop a set of national practices that can be adopted in communities and states across the country so that we're not always having to reinvent the wheel. So we've got kind of tested and true knowledge about what does and does not work in different communities. And so it's really exciting to see that come along. And one of the things that I really hope for and will be advocating for in my participation is the development of model legislation and model ordinances that can be shared across the country, because that's often how the sausage is made. Most of the legislation, good or bad, that you see passing in Iowa is often model legislation that's done in all sorts of different states, and whatever interest group is putting that work together. And so as much as that we can replicate what is a successful model of doing that, I think it's going to be really, really powerful for the local foods movement. Our communications team has been working on a local foods holiday promotion plan and effort. And so if you haven't already shared with us any holiday local foods holiday plans that you've got, whether you've got like a holiday food bazaar, or you've got a promotional guide that you've put together, we want to really amplify that work and tell your story. And so this is both to empower consumers and encourage them to put local foods on their table this holiday season, but also just to tell the story of the work that you folks are all doing. On to the next slide, please. So we do have one existing steering committee vacancy and one upcoming vacancy. And so what we are doing here, you can look in for a link in the next newsletter. There'll be a link for folks to apply who are interested in serving on the steering committee. And we're going to have a selection committee that is made up of active members of the different priority teams. And so, and that's not limited to just the leadership on the priority team. It's open to anybody that's active. And the only caveat is that if you want to be considered for the steering committee, then obviously you can't serve on the selection committee. So be looking for the application link for folks interested in a spot on the steering committee in the next newsletter, and be looking for the selection committee information will be coming to you from your priority teams. A couple kind of overarching goals that I've got for 2025, and this also relates to the steering committee vacancies as well, is diversifying the coalition, standing in solidarity with marginalized communities as we face whatever it is we're going to face in this kind of political environment, expanding our coalition's reach and membership, achieving our legislative priorities, which I think is entirely possible, engaging in direct fundraising for the coalition, to be successful in grants awarded by the USDA and private foundations in this coming year, using the political cycle. We may very well have open primaries for governor. We don't know. There certainly could be a primary on the Democratic side. There might be a primary on both sides. This opens up and makes for a lot of events that would happen across the state, and a lot of opportunities for us to be at those, talking about food system work, and with the goal of making food system work a kitchen table issue for everyday Iowans. We want to hold a lot of trainings this year on the House meeting model of organizing, which I strongly believe in. It's a very strong and time-tested grassroots model of organizing, really rooted in some of the heroes of food system work, including Dolores Huertas and Cesar Chavez, Fred Ross. And so we want to do train anybody that wants to be trained in the House meeting model organizing. We're ready to do that. I was talking to Tommy. Tommy's very excited. I think he's going to be really good at this kind of organizing. And the other thing I want to really develop this year, and I think this gets into the land access piece as well, is developing model local city and local county ordinances and best practices. Because that's one area that I can say as a county supervisor, I almost never get any model ordinances sent to me. And when I do, maybe they're more oriented towards a city because someone didn't understand the difference between a city and a county. And so I hope that we can kind of fill that vacancy and become a resource and actually get some really good work done in this realm. Match up to $5,000, featuring really great local food. It's going to be hosted at my home here in Waterloo, which Austin was very excited about because it's not only is it going to be decked out for Christmas and the holidays. So if you love holiday decorations, it's worth coming just for that. There'll be like 13 some trees up, and we win awards like for the decorating. Like seriously, it's just worth it on its own, even if Austin wasn't here. But Austin's going to be here, and we're big fans of his work and his writing. And he was excited to come, particularly here, to talk about his book Barons, because this is the former home of a meat baron when the home was originally built, and so he's excited to make that connection between Reuben Rath, who was CEO of Rath Meatpacking, who lived here in the 20s through the 50s, and so that's going to be a very exciting event. So I'm really looking forward to. And the Eventbrite link is in the chat. All right, so a brief kind of financial update. Focusing on two of our funds. We've got the Kellogg Fund, which is held at the University of Northern Iowa. The current balance there is 69,257. Some of the upcoming expenditures that will be coming out of that soon include the racial equity mini grants. We're paying our communications contractors out of that for the next couple of months at least. We'll be doing paid social media ads, getting ready for a large print run. And so if you've got a desire to have our one pagers, if you want a couple hundred of them for your location or whatever, just let me know. But we're going to do a really big run on that, as well as a couple different promotional items to be using at all the events we're going to be tabling at throughout the year. Our Builders Fund is held at the Iowa Farmers Union. This grant total was $350,000 over the course of 3 years. Expenditures and reimbursements since I started in April total about 58,317. And that includes things like my salary, communications consultants, evaluation consulting, printing, travel. And I'll just note that a portion of my salary is also reimbursed by the RFSP grant that was modified. And so, but that's really kind of the high level look at it. I can say that we're staying under budget in most categories. So looking at probably making some more adjustments in this coming year. Yeah, and Jan asked for if I could speak to grassroots leadership compensation. I believe that the partnership committee has everything squared away at that. So I want to see us get that compensation out the door here in just the next couple weeks. But stand by, any questions folks have? Deborah asked if yes, the racial equity mini grant recipients, we have reviewed them all, but we haven't publicly announced that yet. So we'll be planning our rollout of that at next week's steering committee meeting.
And Arlene.
Good morning, everybody. So my evaluation update for the Iowa Food System Coalition is going to be pretty brief. The evaluation plan is posted to the website. So it's the first iteration, at least, is complete. And based on some feedback that I got from Zach Couture, I made kind of a last minute adjustment that we would be measuring our evaluation indicators by federal fiscal year. Because for those of you who might be sharing some data based on something that's USDA funded, that's what you're already reporting on. So it would just make it easier. And it also gives us 3 months essentially at the end of the year to get our data together. So there's less of a rush before we need to have those metrics in place, like to share with the legislature. Because my goal is by the first or second week of January to have an evaluation scorecard on the website and available for printing to give to legislators. So that means now we're in November, and now is kind of the time to be gathering our metrics. And I've been, I think, in communication with most of the priority teams regarding that. I'm trying to hop back into those meetings to make sure we're measuring those. But if I haven't talked with you, just know like I would like to have the metrics by December 20th, because that would give Mallory time to kind of plug it into her the templates that she has for design. The one thing though, that there are some teams I maybe haven't talked with you about this because maybe the team is still kind of getting organized. One metric that I would like you all to help me out with is just sending me a list of who has been participating in your team. Now, if somebody showed up just one time to a priority team meeting, I probably wouldn't really count that. But anybody who's making an effort to regularly be a part of your team. And the reason I would like to have names is just in the end, I just want to have a number. Like this many people are participating, but some people could be participating in more than one team. So I have to kind of remove duplicates essentially. So I'm not counting anybody 2 times. So if you can send me a list of who's regularly participating in your priority team, that'd be awesome. If not, I'm going to dig around in your files on our Google Drive and try to find it myself, or I'll be emailing you about it. The other big project for this year was that formative evaluation survey that went out last spring. I've shared about that in other meetings, but that is on the website for those of you who want to read through it or reference it. I think we can go to the next slide. Now I'm going to kind of switch gears and talk about the RFSP quarterly report. So the RFSP, this is a grant that Eat Greater Des Moines has for value chain coordination. And I've just been sharing kind of where we're at with our progress on that grant. And these are the indicators that we share with USDA. So, so far we've documented reaching over 24,000 beneficiaries or stakeholders through that project. And that part of our goal was 500 and we're at 24,000, but part of that is because some people are reaching a lot of people through like farm to school efforts. And then of that number, we know that 559 of those people are buying, selling, aggregating, storing, or producing or distributing local and regionally produced food. The reason that number is so much lower is because, like I had said, like a lot of this 24,000 is children at schools, and we really can't verify that those kids are doing any of these things related to agricultural products. And then in the total number of partners engaged, this is 359. So the partners would be people who are more involved in a deeper level, like implementing a program with our value chain coordinators, for example. We can go to the next slide. And then of those 359, 239 have gained knowledge on how to access resources. 42 have provided technical assistance or training to partners. So this is a lot of like volunteer numbers. And 8 value chain coordinators have helped 8 partners leverage funding or access funding. Um, we're on to 6C. We have a goal of acquiring $2 million of non-federal financial, professional, and technical assistance. Um, this includes dollars that the coalition would raise, as well as value chain coordinators helping their partners raise funds or access funds. So our goal is 2 million, and right now we're at 1.5 million. So I feel pretty good about that because 2 million was a pretty lofty goal, I would say. And then we had a goal of helping establish 21 new buyer seller relationships. And we've documented 84 so far. And I should say that does include some LFS and LFPP, which is like, I realize, like a whole coalition effort. But if a value chain coordinator played a part in somewhere in that process of helping connect a farmer with LFS or LFPA, then we documented that. And I think that's the last slide for me for now.
Thank you very much, Arlene. All right, we're gonna jump into some more updates. So, I believe hopefully Giselle is still on here. I know there's another meeting happening at 10:30, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to reschedule and got double booked. So I will be brief with the updates here. So I'm co-chairing the infrastructure priority team, and our biggest update from the state level right now is the RFSI, the Resilient Food System Infrastructure Grant, which is from the USDA to the Department of Agriculture here in Iowa. We announced and are releasing almost $3 million of infrastructure grants that went out. There's 24 projects throughout the state. They fall into two buckets. There's 4 large infrastructure grants and then 20 smaller equipment grants. We are going to be publishing the names of all of the grant recipients on our website in the coming weeks. So please stay tuned and spread the word. This is going to be really huge for the state in terms of the kind of investment that we see going out to different local food system leaders. And the Food Hub Managers Working Group and Iowa Hub to Hub Network, we continue to meet. Each of those groups meets every other week. So there's a meeting happening every week with one of them. And this was a fun photo, a little bit of revisionist history here. We did the Great Apple Crunch, and a few people didn't have apples. So Julia Despain from our team at Iowa Valley photoshopped a few apples in. This was with our wholesale hubs and our software and sort of like technical consultant at local food marketplace, and then our business development consultant and sales at Kitchen Sink Strategies. So these are the wholesale hubs and some of our consultants. And the hubs have just had it's always wild. September, October, this quarter is really busy in Food Hub world. And they did a phenomenal job connecting hundreds of school districts to local food, hundreds of farmers, and we're hitting record sales in terms of connecting the schools to farms, and just really shout out to all of the hard work that the food hubs have done. We're in November. Hopefully it's starting to slow down, but of course we have holidays coming up. In the aggregation and distribution world, there's a lot of exciting things happening. So just wanted to celebrate the success of Farm to School Month in October.
Thank you. All right. Zach, are you still on here to give an update about the land and resource? I did add in as a suggestion. Yes, there's information. There was a webinar that SILT put together that was resources for sustainable food farmers. This is the link to the recording that you see on the screen, as well as information about that. Several of us on this call did have the opportunity to present. And there's a potential that SILT will be doing a part 2 coming up in this spring with other partners that were not part of this. Now I can turn it over to Zach if you're here and want to talk about your priority team.
I think he just stepped off. Can you hear me? This is Jenny. No, maybe not.
We can hear you, Jenny.
Oh, hey, great. Okay.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
we're having connection issues here at the office. I know, yeah, we're working on organizing sort of how we do some of this work with Silt and within Harmony and some of our other local on the ground land access supporters. Silt has their fundraising dinner coming up on the 20th. Everybody come out to that if you'd like. And yeah, we're looking forward to a winter of policymaking and if there's more, I don't know what it is. So sorry, but there's a little update.
Thank you for sharing. We appreciate it. All right. Farm and food business.
Okay, it's back to me. I don't usually present for this team, but the leaders were all unavailable today, and I'm usually at their meetings since I'm at most priority team meetings. So for anybody who would like to join this team, they meet monthly on the second Tuesday of the month at 10. And Jamie Fowler is the one who sends out the invitations to those meetings. So she would be the person to connect with if you're interested in joining this team. So probably the most exciting thing that the team has been discussing lately is really the work going on in Southeast Iowa, kind of in the Fairfield area, with the Southeast Iowa Food Hub, and there's been some talks happening with Hy-Vee and Capital City Fruit about increasing local food aggregation for them. And there's a facility in Fairfield that potentially could be available for an aggregation location. And these talks are all kind of in early phases, but there's a lot of excitement behind them. And they're looking at what Bob is kind of calling a minimum viable product model. And I'm no expert on this, but my understanding of what he was explaining to us was the idea of starting with one product and identifying a product where the margins would be high, and do like one growing season where they would really focus on getting that product, growing that product, and aggregating that product at scale for Hy-Vee and Capital City Fruit. They're proposing having a whiteboard session in Fairfield related to this minimum viable product model and talking with Hy-Vee and Capital City Fruit. The date hasn't been determined yet, but I know that Bob is really wanting a lot of participation and voices because we know that it's exciting, but we also need to have the right people at the table because we all know really deeply the challenges of producing local food at scale. So anyway, so that is something that if you would like to participate in, it's probably best to communicate with Bob because he's the one who will be determining the date. And my understanding is it will be in Fairfield. And then the other thing that our team has been working hard on is just developing a list of existing local food and farm businesses in Iowa. We're really just trying to get a baseline. And what we've been doing is using listings that are publicly available, like the meat processor inspection lists that you can get from IDOLS. And there's, what's it called? The Bureau of Inspections and Appeals. They have listings that you can comb through. And then we have all these local food directories. So the purpose of creating this list is for evaluation so that we can just have a underlying, like a baseline of how many food and farm businesses are in Iowa. But we also can see over time, we're going to be able to see, like, are we seeing growth in the number of farms or decline? Or what about meat processing? Or, we'll be able to track year to year what areas we're seeing change in. So we're excited about that. And then finally, we're also excited just about the possibility of being able to connect with these businesses once we have identified what's out there. So I think that's everything. I saw that it looks like Gil put in the chat Bob's contact information for those who want to know more about this whiteboard session that's coming up.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Arlene, and thank you, Gil, for doing that. All right, Caitlin.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm at my desk right now. So we are currently working on looking at buyer supplier meetups. And we thought last year we did it in the fall in conjunction with LFS funding, but knowing that the Choose Iowa funding is going to come maybe more like January, February, sometime in next year. We're looking to host them closer to that time, just to make it a little more timely for the people who are buying. And then at our last meeting, Northeast Iowa Food Bank shared their experience about Choose Iowa funds. So just kind of some notes there about their experience. Right now, at our last meeting, we went through kind of this comparison chart we have between the Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Coalition's strategy team, and then our Iowa Food System Coalition priority team, which we merged over this last year. And just kind of took another look at the goals and strategies to make sure that like they were being covered by some group, like some things fall more under the policy team, but are in our chapter. So they're actively working on that, and we're kind of helping them with those things. So just making sure that work is being done and done by the right groups. And then Teresa added the LFS round 3 funding is wrapping up on December 31st. And so we're waiting for more info because USDA has allocated more funds to LFS. So more to come on that. And then I think we have one more slide too. Yes. So Teresa also wanted me to share local food day and Great Apple Crunch kind of final numbers. So local food day, 54 school districts, early care sites, and universities. Almost 13,000 breakfasts, almost 50,000 or 48,000 lunches. And then 8,900 taste tests in that day. And 31 counties had a participating site. Great Apple Crunch, we had 109 school districts, early care sites, and community organizations, 82,000 participants. 56% of the sites were new, which is exciting. And then apples came from over 30 different orchards in the state. So yeah, that's our update.
Thank you. All right.
I think I'll be helping with the Farm to School and Early Care Coalition
Thank you.
update. Krista and Chalice are in New Mexico for the Egg Summit, which is like half of our team. So you might be hearing my voice a lot for the next few half hour. But for the Farm to School and Early Care Coalition update, let me pull this up. The Farm to ECE grant from the Department of Health and Human Services has the final report being shared out. Over 5,000 children enrolled at Iowa Early Care and Education organizations connected with Farm to ECE activities like gardening, cooking, eating local food, and celebrating local food and farming. 17 Iowa Farm to ECE virtual trainings had over 500 attendees and 19 staff from over 8 organizations that became certified to lead Iowa Farm to ECE trainings. Over $670,000 was awarded to 227 childcare programs. 25 childcare providers participated in the ECE Learning Collaborative and received scholarships to attend and present at the conference this past summer. And racial equity planning and resources were developed for the Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Coalition. So that's that chunk. And then with the website, I get to share that the website's getting some work done. The resource page is being updated and beat drop videos will be posted. And beat drops are 15-minute segments of farm to school and early care meetings where folks doing farm to school and early care work in the state are highlighted and sharing what they're working on. Is that their only? Oh, and then I think there's another slide, but I don't have notes for this one. But I'm assuming it's a get your t-shirt and support Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Coalition. Does anyone have thoughts on that? I didn't know that that one was for me.
I think the big thing is, yes, it is a fundraiser, and that November 30th is the last time that the orders can be placed, or the last date. Thank you, Megan. All right, Jill or Haley?
Yeah, good morning. This is Jill. So the HEAL partnership, which is also the food and nutrition priority team, met at the end of October. And during that meeting, Linda Gorko was kind enough to give us a presentation to help everyone on the team understand the work done by the food banks and the food pantries and how we can all become involved in the work that they do. So that was really great to hear from Linda. And then Haley Nguyen, who's on our team here at Iowa HHS, showed an updated dashboard, which there's a picture of that on this slide. Some work was done to get some updated data, and we also updated the look and feel of what this dashboard looks like. But what it showcases is information about poverty, food insecurity, also looks at SNAP enrollment and WIC estimated eligibility, and some information about where we have different programmings and things like that across Iowa. So it can be drilled down by county, and things like that so you can learn different information. And Laura on our team just dropped the link into the chat. So if you're interested, you can please do go out and check it out and play with the information. And either Laura or Haley can answer questions in regards to what's going on there. But it's a really cool tool that we want to make sure we shared not only with our food and nutrition team, but also with all of you. So next slide, please. And then also a piece that's been going on that Laura and Haley particularly have been super busy with is they have met individually with the 5 different work groups who are working on the specific goals within the priority chapter. And they spent some quality time really looking hard at the different strategies. And what they did was a prioritization matrix so that they can really look at impact, degree of difficulty, and really get their strategy put together on how to move forward with different action steps. So sometimes that kind of work can be a little tedious, but in the end, it really helps create the best strategy on how to move forward effectively. So very exciting bit of work to get done with that group. And then we're scheduled to meet in at the end of January. So feel free to email us if anybody wants to join the meeting.
This
I
one
get it.
also. So for labor equity, we've kind of had a little break since our last quarterly meeting. I have been very busy and not been able to attend some or hold the monthly meetings, but I am hoping to still meet before the end of the year with labor equity. We do have a very small team, so I think that if you have any ideas or people that you think would be good for engaging in labor equity for Iowa Food System Coalition, I'd love to get a doodle poll with more than 3 responses. It's a little hard to get a priority team regularly meeting when folks are just at capacity and in meetings all the time. So at labor equity meetings, we share relevant updates related to workforce development, equitable labor practices, and would love to have a doodle poll sent out. And I know that labor equity is just like one of those cornerstones for IFSC and our food systems work. So really anyone can join. But that's pretty much the update for this quarter.
Thank you. All right, Chris, are you going to give this update? You are muted.
Okay. Well, in environmental stewardship, we've been the priority team has not been meeting, so this is an area that I really want to build up for the next year. But we have been doing work to put ourselves into environmental space. I was able to, on behalf of the coalition, moderate a panel at the industrial ag um, uh, and public health conference, as well as then was on a panel where I was able to discuss the plan at the Iowa Nature Summit. So I think it's really important that we put ourselves in these environmental spaces and kind of build up our credibility there. But so this is an area that I really, really want to build the coalition in 2025.
All right, great. Thank you. And I am the co-chair of the Communication and Education Priority Team, along with Paul McCormick. We have the great opportunity of we have us as individuals that are, coming to this space for different reasons, but we also have our communication consultants that are hired by the Iowa Food System Coalition joining in our meetings. So it's taken us a few months to get the rhythm of what that looks like between all parties, but we are, and our consultants are making a lot of great progress with us again as on the sidelines doing some assistance. So we have Mallory, Beth, Chris, and Alexon, who are all part of the communication consultants. And they've really been looking at it, really planning things out in terms of Q1, Q2, Q3. So Q1, there was a lot of great things that happened with the launch of the plan, and you can see those stats there. Really, Q2 has been really focusing on, Chris mentioned, the holiday campaign, so the holiday local sales, getting ready for the advocacy for the legislative session, as well as storytelling. And then again, Q3 is really going to be looking at the actively engaging and getting us out there in terms of our Iowa Food System Coalition communication for the legislative session, as well as bringing in, more internal partners and really working on our communication amongst our partners and our priority teams. As Chris mentioned earlier on in the meeting, here's a QR code if you want to go straight to that partner commitment form. And I believe the link was dropped in the chat earlier on too. Oh, I do before I go on to the next slide. I also want to mention too that one of our other goals that isn't reflected in the Q1, Q2, Q3 for all of the coalition, our priority team specifically, as we are organizing around what it looks like for the consumer to find local food. So many of you are probably aware that we have a lot of, statewide directories. We have a lot of regional directories happening. One of our first steps is we've been having conversations with Market Maker, and the Iowa State FFED team has been working with Market Maker and to have that partnership. So we've also started talking what that looks like. So first step is we would love everybody on the call to check out the Iowa Market Maker site. And if you feel it's appropriate for your organization to become an affiliation, to get that on there and some people have outdated information on there, which we tried to clean up, but there's definitely a lot of people missing in that space. That's just one way, again, as a start for everybody to see the partners in the state of Iowa to kind of go along with the partnership work that's happening with the Iowa Food System Coalition and may help us then in the future as communication priority team with some of our goals. All right, so you heard from Jill talking about HHS and their work on their priority team. And we've, really been working as communications again. There's 3 great plans that are happening in the state of Iowa. We of course have our Setting the Table for All Iowans, but we also have the Iowa State Improvement Plan, which is referred to as the SHIP. And then also the Healthy Eating Active Living Partnership, the HEAL group. And so just want to make sure everybody's aware that there's definitely coordinated efforts going on between the groups. There's people from Iowa Food System Coalition on the HEAL and, HHS leading the nutrition priority team. But here's just kind of a recap of things that, again, we're seeing in those 3 plans that are big crossovers. I'll give you a second to take a look at that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Beth for Choose Iowa.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm excited to share with you. Hello, team. So, okay, answering Zach's question earlier, to be a vendor for the food purchasing program, the pilot currently, the legislature identified those members or those people that can be purchased from as part of that pilot program as Choose Iowa members. So what that means is that these are businesses, farms that are members of the brand program side of Choose Iowa. You do not have to be a member of the brand program to be a grant applicant or recipient. So to become a member of the brand program, you go to chooseiowa.com and click on the big green Become a Member button. There are 3 steps. The first is to submit an application. Second step is to sign an agreement and submit an annual fee. And the third step is to set up your profile. So if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer those regarding becoming a member. Some updates I wanted to share about some of the grants that are open and offered through Choose Iowa right now. The Dairy Innovation Grant application period is open. We are extending the application period through the weekend of Thanksgiving, and so that will now close on Monday, December 2nd, instead of the day before Thanksgiving as originally planned. So a few more days to submit an application if you know of a dairy that has a great project for either on-farm processing or for labor reducing technology. Then the next grant application period that will open on December 2nd, and that is for the value added application or for the value added grant. That will be open for 2 months. It will close on January 31st at noon. Definitely recommend if you know anyone that is interested in applying, encourage them to apply before the last day of the application period. Oddly enough, over half of the applications we receive come in on the last day of the application period, but people actually have 2 whole months to answer the 6 questions that we ask for that application. So definitely encourage, please apply before that last day. Then to elevate and raise awareness of Iowa foods in Iowa, we are happy to be one of the sponsors of the Iowa Restaurant Association's culinary competition. The culinary competition award recipients will be announced on Monday this month. And so on the 18th, and there is a special award from Choose Iowa for the most creative feature of local ingredients and feature of Iowa farms by the chef. So I'm really excited for Monday to find out who will be named for that special award and who will win the culinary competition. And then also we are working with the Iowa Tourism Office, and the Iowa Restaurant Association is helping with this. We're doing a series of Iowa farm to table dinners featuring ingredients from across Iowa, prepared by some fantastic award-winning chefs. So the first dinner was October 29th at Wilson's Farm near Iowa City. The second dinner, there are a few tickets left if anyone is interested in coming, will be December 12th at Rose Farm by the chef Aaron Holt, catering by Doolittle. Pretty excited for this. There will be 2 more dinners in spring and summer next year. So excited to be able to promote the fantastic things that our Iowa farmers are doing. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Beth. All right. Elsa or Tommy, do you want to jump back in and just remind us of all the wonderful things coming up?
Sure. Yeah, this is our fun graphic for our Iowa Local Food Policy Summit. So I can put the Eventbrite link in the chat. We welcome everyone to attend. It's going to be a really welcoming environment, and we'll kick off to we're hosting it in partnership with the Iowa Farmers Union, and their convention is going to be the full next day. So you can get a 2-for-1 if you're traveling in to Ames from out of town. So thanks, Chris, for putting the Eventbrite link in the chat. But yeah, that's our big thing we're gearing up for.
Great. All right. Iowa Farmers Union. All right. I'm not sure that if Tommy or Aaron are on here and at the moment. But yes, in conjunction with the Policy Summit, they do have their annual convention that will be happening on December 6th and 7th. And looks like there's town hall coming up on Zoom. So stay tuned. All right. Luke could not be here today for the Iowa Hunger Coalition. But be sure if you're not already attending, they do have monthly meetups on the third Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Check out their website. You can get signed up for their newsletter as well as signing up for those meetings. And sometimes there's a speaker, sometimes it's Luke just giving updates, but a really good way to stay informed about policy in Iowa, as well as, what you've heard today. And then Iowa Hunger Coalition will also have some priorities for the upcoming legislative session. All right, turning it back to you, Megan.
Okay, now we're on FED. Okay, so for FED updates, like I mentioned, Egg Summit is happening. This is a value-added agricultural marketing conference that is national. So a lot of our team is over there, but also associated with that is we had hosted a local food leader train the trainer yesterday. So we have good cohort of trainers that are now offering or up to date on our curriculum and things like that for certifications. If you're interested in certifications with our team, that's Kaylee. I'll drop a lot of links and contact information after chat or talking, but registration closes for the in-person local food leader in Ames with our team that we host on November 18th. So you have a few more days to register. You can expect a lot of updates to the curriculum, probably pricing, because in this economy, for certifications offered by our team. Some other updates from our team. Courtney mentioned that the fruit and veg mobile cart processing project that we often share about is still working on legal and fabrication things. There is a NAS survey that was completed, and Courtney said she'll be meeting with Arlene on processing and feasibility study, which I'm sure Arlene could share about if you're interested or maybe have questions. Also, another update is registration is open for Produce Safety Alliance grower trainings, and I can drop the link in the chat if you're interested in that. And then the Regional Food Business Center for the Heartland region, which is our region, has had so these business builder grant programs I'm sure you've heard about. We had almost 500 applications received across the region, and Iowa has submitted 36 grants for that. Have some more. Yes, okay. Round 2 for business builders should be open again in about mid-January. Some basic parameters are it's $5,000 to $50,000, and this can cover marketing and business expenses, but no production agriculture as per USDA AMS rules. If anyone's interested or working with a business that is interested, please have them reach out to either Krista Hartsook or Penny from our office. I believe that the way the scoring works is that if you have that TA with the provider with the RFBC, you get a couple more points. So just a little tip on folks interested in that. And then I think that my updates from FED are farmers market development stuff. So wrapping up that retail pricing project, that was a whole beast, but hopefully wrapping that up this December. And then in the new year, planning on doing some like more national site visits to put together a farmers market guide on just like best practices and disaster preparedness and resilience. So I think that's roughly what FED has to offer to this space currently, but I am just one person. So reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, Megan. All right, so we're going to jump into our events announcements and project updates. Anybody want to share on this? Believe everything has been mentioned so far today, and there's lots of links happening in the chat. So mark your calendars, and then we would love to see everybody there. While we have this audience, I know we've mentioned it before. So the Policy Summit on December 6th starts at noon, and we are going to be having a leadership priority team / steering committee meeting prior to that from 10 a.m. to 11:45 a.m., same location. And typically with this meeting, we just have steering committee members and the co-leads or your leads for your priority team. but we are opening it up to anybody from a priority team who would want to attend this meeting with us. We're going to be doing some recapping, reflection on 2024, as well as continuing to get our priority teams to work together and see those overlap and common goals. All right. I'm going to turn it over, I think, to Ilsa now, or somebody else on our Aretha Swig steering committee.
I think I've got this here. I just dropped the Mentimeter link in the chat, or of course you can also scan this QR code. But the question today is, we've just been through this big general election, and that has us feeling all sorts of feelings. But just looking at how you're feeling about the opportunities you see for advancing our food system work in Iowa in this coming 2025 year. So I will start my screen share. We can watch. All right. Are we seeing the Mentimeter screen up? I can never tell when I'm.
I can see it now, yeah. I think it
All
was
right.
taking a minute to load, but
All right. I like that. Lemons out of lemonade. Looks like some people are feeling optimistic, some positive. Challenges, feeling challenged. Sad to lose some food system partners like Chuck Eisenhart in the legislature. Um, People are ready to buckle up, feel invigorated, um, fueled by fire. I like that. Resilient, that's always good. I think the important thing, and I think this is reflected in our responses today, is to always remember that there are opportunities sometimes in hidden places to move forward. And so we are resilient people. Otherwise we wouldn't be doing this work. And so I think that that's important to keep sight of, and there were even, conversations we were looking at. Oh, people like young Bobby Kennedy is very big on regenerative ag. We might have to fundraise to put fluoride in the water, but but there might be opportunities there, and we have to be ready to take them. And so I appreciate that the people are kind of seeing that, and so.
cool. I think next we have another poll for a closing poll. So I'm going to launch that for everyone, and this is about what you'd like to hear about in future meetings, or like other things you want us as a steering committee and IFSC steering committee to consider as we're planning meetings and presentations and things like that. So there's multiple choice, I think, and open answer. And then I think while folks are filling out the poll, we can share that the next meeting is February 13th next year. I'll drop the registration link in the chat. It'll also go out with meeting notes, and you'll see it around. It's end of the year things, right?
Yeah, and I will add then we do have our meeting set for next year that looks very similar to what we did this year, with happening in the months of February, May, September, and November. And Also, while the poll is going and we're wrapping that up, next on the agenda as we are wrapping up today is we do always want to give anybody on the call an opportunity to share anything that is happening in your area or anything that you're involved in that would be beneficial to this group. So give everybody a second to think about that. And I think we can. I'll stop sharing here in just a minute. I'll stop sharing now. That way we can all see each other. And I would just encourage you to go ahead and unmute if you'd like to share with everybody today, or you can continue to put some great things in the chat too.
Well, I will share. It's not going to pertain to people that are not close by to us, but we are hosting a how to lead a cooking class workshop. It's part of our kitchen, shared use kitchen project and getting more people prepared to use those kitchens that we've been connecting with and all the kitchen equipment that we've been acquiring through the grants. It is on Monday, which is pretty short notice, but if you know anyone up in this area that's doing it's for producers, small businesses, anyone who's doing, education around cooking and nutrition and things like that. So I'll drop the link for registration. It is free for Healthy Harvest members or $20 if you're not a member, but it's being led by Jen Pope out of the Roots Nutrition and Nutrition Counseling out of Mason City, and she's been doing many great cooking classes with people in the Mason City area, and we've been partnering with her for, I think, going on 2 years, where we're working with her, giving her a bit of a stipend, and she's focusing almost all her classes now focus exclusively on trying to source local as much as possible. And we have someone from our team that goes and talks about our organization and the work we're doing and hands out local food guides and such like that. So if you are interested in that, or if anyone knows someone who in our area that might be interested, feel free to share it out. It's on Facebook, so we'd love to have more people sharing it. Registration is kind of low, but yeah, that's what we have coming up.
And I'll add to that in cooperation between Healthy Harvest and the Cedar Valley area, we both use the branding Grow, Eat, Play. And around that, we're going to be having 6 marketing workshops with different topics coming up. We have one on Friday, but really that's geared towards people that are already Grow, Eat, Play members. So really, in December, we'll be sharing that out too. Those people that, again, are not currently part of our Grow, Eat, Play are welcome to attend. It is just a $20 fee for participants. Most of the sessions, all of these sessions are on Zoom until we get to the last one, which doesn't occur until next April. And that's an in-person class with details to be determined about like photography. So we would love anybody outside of our areas to participate since we have those virtual options. So we'll be sharing that out too, which then brings us also, if you're not part of the Reefus Wig listserv, that's a great place to share things out like this. You can send me an email and I will get you added. As well as, again, if you have things to share, there's going to be always different opportunities to share that through the Iowa Food System Coalition too. So always be reading the newsletters and watching out for that.
Yeah, thank you, Jody, for bringing up those workshops. Those are going to be really great. And Mallory has some excellent partners and speakers lined up for those. So we will want to share that out more. Jan also reminded me we do have one of those roundtable events that somebody mentioned, maybe Luke mentioned earlier today, or Tommy, that they've been doing around different parts of the state. We're hosting one in Mason City. It's going to be held at the community kitchen on January the 17th. So more information will come out about that. And we're also working on a series of workshops in January. We have 3 scheduled two of them are lunch and learns, that so they'd be, open to whoever is interested in attending. And one's going to be an in-person training, again, around our kitchen project. So I can send up more information about that. I'm not sure. I'll have to check if they've gotten up on our website yet, but I think we're still waiting on some final details about the agenda and stuff, and those should be up on our website pretty soon. So I can send out more information. But one is about moving your business online and some tips and tricks that you might want to know about, which types of software might be a good starter place and things like that. Some stuff about shipping, if you're doing, online sales, and things to know about shipping. One's about 10 things to know about applying for the next Heartland grant. So that we're working with Penny and Krista on that. And then the other one is related to growing your local food business and what's your next steps, and some information about things to think about if you're trying to expand. So, and yeah, we're working with, Krista and Penny very closely on all of those workshops.
I feel like if no one else has any more updates, or if y'all are just so shy, you can definitely drop them in the chat. But I feel like we might get 20 minutes back today. What do you, yeah? Yeah? Heck yeah. I'm gonna end the poll for the closing poll. I can share the results if you're interested. But thank you all for joining today. Please reach out to one of the steering committee members or Chris or anyone with IFSC if you're interested in getting more involved, especially if you're trying to get more into like the helping with REFA SWIG and meeting plan or IFSC meeting planning. We're always hoping for new ideas and stuff. So reach out, and thank you for attending today, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.